So students, without conflict, there can be no plot, and without plot, there can be no characters. Because what are characters going to act, enact, give the message, play their roles if there is no purpose? So here, the play is based primarily on the conflict that arises between Antonio and Shylock, then Shylock and his daughter Jessica, and later you find when Portia appears in order to defend Antonio, there's some amount of conflict there also. So you find that there is direct conflict and there is indirect conflict. Direct conflict when you find that Antonio and Shylock in first act, they are in a kind of a verbal rivalry. They call each other by bad names. The language is slightly foul, and at the same time they recall the ugly phrases that they had used for each other at the exchange, that is the marketplace. So, and attitudinally, you also find that both of them, they are of such substance as can make the rightful material for conflict. Shylock, you find, is impulsive. Bassanio also is impulsive. And Antonio, to some extent, is indifferent but is melancholic in temperament. So at the very outset, he says that he feels unhappy, but he doesn't know the reason behind it. So you find that he is temperamentally one who is commonly sad in his interaction with others. But Bassanio is robust. So the conflict arises when Antonio and Shylock, they come face to face. Because Antonio does not approve of Shylock charging needy people exorbitantly as interest whenever he used to lend money. So his interest rate for the capital was very high, and Antonio never charged interest. So they had different strategies, or you can say practices, by which they lent money. Then you also find that one is Christian and the other is Jew. And remember, students, when Shakespeare wrote this play, climatically, the historical setting was of this nature. So in a way, the play represents the real attitude between these two races during those days. So it's photographic of the age that the play talks about. Then you also have Shylock, who needs more and more of money because habitually he is in the habit of hoarding money, amassing wealth. That is why when Jessica runs away with Lorenzo, when she elopes with Lorenzo, taking away a good lot of jewels, Shylock goes wild. Not because his daughter is missing, but because his money is gone. So here you find that Jessica and Shylock, they are also mismatched as far as their temperaments are concerned. Jessica is young and she adores all that is virtuous. She is all set for the niceties of the world. She loves whatever is beautiful as far as good heart and good soul is concerned. But Shylock, you find, is not bothered at all about the richness of soul or of the mind or of the heart. He is only and only concerned about the richness that he can possess with little efforts and with easy ways. So here the conflict is primarily because of the difference in ideologies, in principles, in religious values, and at the same time in the perspectives with which they confront each other as well as one another. So students, we now discuss about the setting of the play. What is the setting of the play where the performers and the action is localized? So we need to look into the time and the space that is utilized in spreading the plot of the play. The expanse of the play covers two geographical areas. One is Venice, where you find Antonio lives, where Shylock lives, where your Bond story takes place. And then you have Belmont, where Portia lives as a rich heiress, and where the casket story takes place, where Jessica and Lorenzo, they reach after the elopement, and where Nerissa also marries Grishenio, and where the ring plot also takes place. Again, we find that the trial scene takes place in Venice. So here you find that there is a shifting of the spaces. You have on one side Venice, and on the other side you have Belmont. So the sway of action is in between two spaces. Then as far as time is concerned, you find that you have one action, then the movement is towards other, and in between a good amount of clock time as well as days this elapse. Now if you look into the structure of the play, you find that it is not in uniformity with what Aristotle had laid down regarding the structure of a play. He said that it should have unity of time, unity of place, and unity of action. For unity of time, it need to be a 12 hours show. Why a 12-hour show? Because during those days, all performances were done during the sunshine time, that is when the broad daylight was available for the performance to be there on the stage, as no artificial light was available, and at the same time there was always a threat of the wild animals around. So evenings were not preferred, and daytime was regarded as proper for dramatization of a theme. Then unity of place was also emphasized by him, because during those days it was not easy to change the scenes. It required a lot of manpower, and at the same time doing the backdrop was not easy, because it was all a hand doing kind of a thing. So this also was not advised by him. And unity of action, he emphasized on one plot, so that there are not many characters, and for the audience it could not be a kind of a muddledum to connect characters, with a wide host of it. So he emphasized, but this play of Shakespeare, as most of his plays are, is not in concurrence with the three unities. Now Now, time is very important in this play in the sense that you have the prevailing time when the Bond story takes place, when the trial scene takes place. But when the casket plot takes place, you find that it talks about the elapsed time also. For example, the lottery was devised, the plan of the lottery was devised by Portia's dead father. So it is an allusion to someone who had concocted this lottery. Now, with elapsed time, you also have another aspect of it, which is insular time. Insular time is that range of time which covers actions that takes place within a territory or a region or a country, but does not move out of it. If it does, then you have cosmopolitan time. So here you find that the entire action, whether it be those that happen in Belmont or those that happen in Venice, they are localized in Italy. So we would say that this is insular time. But one thing has to be kept in mind, that the happenings are not dated for you. For example, on what date the ring story takes place, or on what date the casket story takes place. For example, when does the Prince of Aragon come? What day was it when the Prince of Morocco had selected his gold casket? You find that this is all vague time. So, this is another interesting feature of the play. Students, in my next video, I shall talk about the speech pattern as well as the character portrayal in the play The Merchant of Venice. Thank you so much.